Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Dr. Varkis Ophthalmology Tutorials. Today we will discuss about the bacterial corneal ulcer. So this topic of bacterial corneal ulcer will be split into 2 or 3 videos so that you will understand the concepts clearly and in depth. Okay. So in this video I will be discussing about which are all the protective mechanisms of the eye, okay, commensals of the conjunctiva, causes for this bacterial corneal ulcer, risk factors for the bacterial corneal ulcer and the stages of the corneal ulcer. And the rest of the things will be discussed in further videos. So without much delay, let's begin our video. As you know, the cornea is the most anterior part of the eyeball which is constantly in touch with the environment. Means it is constantly exposed to the dust and some of the injurious material from the environment. Even then, not everyone will develop the corneal ulcer because we have some of the defense mechanisms which will protect the anterior surface of the eyeball. Okay, so these are, the first one is the blink reflex of the eyelids. That is the Meniere's reflex, MENACE, that is Meniere's reflex of the eye. Means our eyelids will close reflexively whenever something is threatening to our eyes. That is the blink reflex. Okay, so that is one of the most important mechanisms which will protect the cornea. Then secondly, we have this tear film. Okay, so the tear film will constantly lubricate the corneal surface. Thereby, if there are any minor trauma to the eye or the cornea, that is taken care. And secondly, this tear film is constantly driving off all the dust material which is there in the conjunctival sac, thereby keeping the conjunctival sac clear. Okay, and this tear film also contains the lysozyme and the beta-lysine enzyme which act as local antibiotics to prevent the corneal ulcers. Okay, then we have a group of organisms in the conjunctiva which will increase the local immunity. Okay, these are called as the commensals of the conjunctiva. Which are all the commensals of the conjunctiva? Staph albus, Staph epidermidis, diphtheroids, Neisseria catarrhalis and the Corynebacterium xerosis. So this can be asked for your 3 mark questions as well as in your viva question. Okay, so what is the function of these commensals? These help to defend the ocular surface from the pathogens by increasing the local immunity. Okay, so in spite of all these protective mechanisms and the commensals of the conjunctiva, some people will develop the corneal ulcer. So some of the factors are predisposing these corneas to develop the corneal ulcer. So what are those factors which will increase the risk of developing corneal ulcer? The first one is the contact lens wear. Especially the soft contact lens wearers have the highest risk of developing the corneal ulcer. They wear the contact lens overnight, or if it is associated with a poor lens hygiene, then the cornea is predisposed to develop the hypoxia and the trauma that will make the cornea susceptible to develop the corneal ulcer. The second thing is trauma. This is the first predisposing factor for any corneal ulcer. Means there has to be trauma and breach in the epithelium followed by the infection to develop the corneal ulcer. So trauma can be either because of the accidental injuries even by the fingernails, okay, or because of the surgery like the refractive surgeries, the loose sutures which are left after the surgery, okay, even the agricultural injuries by the vegetative matters. Though the fungal corneal ulcer is more common in the agricultural injury, the bacterial corneal ulcer can occur. And even the lid abnormalities like the entropion and the trichiasis, okay, which will constantly rub the cornea and predispose the cornea to develop the ulcer. The third factor is the ocular surface diseases. That is the herpetic keratitis, if the patient is having bullous keratopathy, dry eye diseases. In dry eye diseases, the epithelium is less resistant to infection. So again, the cornea is predisposed for the infection. In case of chronic blepharitis, where the tear film is altered, okay, in case of trichiasis, exposure keratitis, corneal anesthesia, these are all the factors which will disturb the ocular surface and predispose the cornea to develop the corneal ulcer. And we have some other factors which will decrease the immunity of the person as such or decrease the local immunity. So in case of diabetes mellitus, pregnancy or malignancy, old age and the alcoholism, the overall immunity of the person is decreased. Thereby the cornea is predisposed to develop the ulcer. But in case of chronic usage of your topical steroids in vitamin A deficiency or in the measles, the local immunity is also compromised. Thereby the person can develop the corneal ulcer. So these are all the risk factors for development of the corneal ulcer. Next, coming to the causative organisms, when it is asked for your theory questions, either you can divide it into cocci and bacilli. In that again, gram-positive cocci and the gram-negative cocci. Similarly, gram-positive and the negative bacilli. But the important ones I have highlighted here, that is the Staph aureus, Staph albus, streptococci I missed in this slide. So streptococci, pneumococci, gonococci, meningococci, diphtheria, Propionibacterium acne, Pseudomonas and the H. influenza. Just to highlight few things about this. So if you take the Pseudomonas, this is the ubiquitous gram-negative bacillus which flourishes in soil and the vegetative matter, also in the moist situation of the hospitals. If you take the Staph aureus, it is a gram-positive organism, coagulase-positive organism, which is the commensal of the nary skin and the conjunctiva. So this will destroy the cornea by producing various toxins like alpha toxin and the beta toxin. If you take the Streptococcus, that is again gram-positive, commensals in the throat and the vagina. The pneumococci, again gram-positive, commensal in the upper respiratory tract, produces cytolysine toxin. These are few salient features about these causative organisms. So what can be the source of these infection? This can be the exogenous source or because of the anatomical continuity. Exogenous source means because of the direct contact by the air or the injury. Okay. In anatomical continuity, we have the disease which is spreading from the conjunctiva, the sclera. Okay. Because the conjunctiva is in continuity with the epithelium of the cornea, the disease of the conjunctiva can spread and involve the cornea. And sclera is in continuity with the stroma. Infections can involve the corneal stroma. Last part of this is the stages of the corneal ulcer. So why it is important to stage this corneal ulcer? To plan the management, and the second is to explain the prognosis to the patient. Before exactly dividing the corneal ulcer into the stages, let us see the story of the corneal ulcer. Means how the normal cornea will end up in having a corneal ulcer. Okay. So this is the normal cornea, as you can see. This is the stroma, that is the yellow part is the stroma, and this one, that is the blue zone, is the normal epithelium. As you can see, there is no breach in the epithelium and the cornea is very much healthy. So the first event what happens is there is breach in the epithelium, means there is epithelial defect which is shown in the green color because the epithelium defect is highlighted by using the fluorescent which is seen as green. You examine under the cobalt blue filter. So once there is breach in the epithelium, the lymphocytes and the neutrophils will come into play. That is from the limbus or from the stroma, the lymphocytes and the neutrophils will come and surround this epithelial defect area. Necrosis of the anterior layers of the cornea, thereby forming what is known as the sequestrum. So this is called as the sequestrum. After some time, this sequestrum will get separated from the layers of the cornea, either partly or completely, and then it is shed into the conjunctival sac and it is drained by the tear film. And some part of the sequestrum can still be attached to the cornea. Okay. As you can see in this picture, it has already formed a ulcer because the sequestrum is gone out and some part is attached, the ulcer is formed. As you can see, there is a damage to the epithelium as well as the Bowman's membrane and the layers of the stroma. But the damage to the Bowman's membrane and the stroma is more compared to the epithelial damage, and the epithelium will regrow faster compared to your Bowman's membrane and the stroma. Thereby, the ulcer will get the shape of saucer. So this is the saucer shaped ulcer. Okay. And the epithelium will imbibe the water here. So there is swelling of the margin of the epithelium. So this is seen as the grayish area around the ulcer. Okay. So as you can see in this picture, so this is the ulcer, that is the green part is the ulcer surrounded by the zone of leukocyte infiltration. So the local immunity comes here again. So the leukocytes will get infiltrated there, forming a defense mechanism. So this is the first defense line. Then we have the infiltration of the neutrophils. The pink color which is shown is the neutrophilic infiltration, that is called as zone of demarcation. So once this happens, the leukocytes which were there in the center, that is shown in the yellow part, will macerate and dissolve the necrotic tissue and then it is completely shed off. So the ulcer will look larger compared to the previous stage, but the surrounding cornea is clear compared to the previous stage. So the infiltration and the swelling of the surrounding cornea is disappearing, but the ulcer is enlarging. Okay. Same thing is shown in this picture. Okay. So this is how you define the corneal ulcer. Like we have some parts of the corneal ulcer. This is the margin. Okay. The floor of the corneal ulcer. This part is the edge of the corneal ulcer, and the base, that is the remaining part of the cornea, is the base of the corneal ulcer. So this is how it looks after this necrotic tissue is dissolved. Okay. This is very important diagram for all postgraduates as well as undergraduates, and this is how you will have to write the corneal ulcer when you are examining and writing it in the case sheet. Okay. After this, there is vascularization of the cornea. Fine vessels from the limbus will start growing towards the corneal ulcer to provide the nourishment, that is to provide the nutrients as well as to provide the antibodies. These vessels will grow to restore the loss of the substance, thereby helping to resolve this bacterial infection. So this will form something called as cicatrix over this corneal ulcer. There is formation of the cicatrix in the corneal ulcer because of this new vessel growth. This cicatrix or cicatrization is nothing but regeneration of the collagen and formation of the fibrous tissue. So this is the new collagen and the fibrous tissue which is generated after the vascularization as established. Okay. So if you take the cross section, this is how it looks. So this is the cicatrix or the cicatrization which has happened. So the new collagen fibers are formed, which is trying to fill the gap of this corneal ulcer. So if the cicatrix which is formed is not in line with the epithelium of the cornea, there is some gap between the epithelium and the cicatrix, as you can see here. So this is called as the facet. And since these fibers are not regularly arranged, the cornea may not look very much clear in this area. Because of the irregular arrangement of the collagen fibers, the new corneal element which is formed here is not clear. Okay, it is opaque to some extent. And because of the vascularization, the cornea may become clear over a period of time. This is evidenced by the clearing of the cornea adjacent to the new vessels. Okay, so there is more clearing of the cornea adjacent to the new vessels. So there is some degree of disturbed vision even after the corneal ulcer is healed. So this is how it looks finally. So the final scar tissue will fill the gap created by the ulcer, but in most of the cases it will not be able to come to the original shape of the cornea. Okay, so it may remain either flat, okay, or it may leave in the form of facet. If this cicatrix becomes clear, you may not appreciate this facet under the slit lamp examination. So for that you will have to do corneal reflex test to see the defect in the cornea. Okay. So this is the story of the corneal ulcer. Let me repeat the story once again quickly. So the normal cornea with the intact epithelium. So the first event is the trauma to the cornea. So there is epithelial defect. The local immunity, that is the neutrophils and the leukocytes, will come. Necrosis of the anterior layers of the cornea will occur, leading to formation of the sequestrum, which is partially disintegrated into the conjunctival sac, thereby leaving the ulcer, which is saucer shaped with the swelling of the epithelium. Okay. So if you see from the anterior, we have the ulcer in the center followed by the leukocytic infiltration. This is followed by again the lymphocytic infiltration. Then the leukocytes will start to macerate and dissolve the necrotic tissue in the center. Thereby the ulcer looks larger, but the surrounding cornea becomes clearer. And if you take the cross section, this is how it looks. Okay, the ulcer which has typically the margin, the edge, floor and the base of the ulcer. Then we have the vascularization which is happening around the ulcer. Because of this vascularization, there is supply of the blood, there is supply of the nutrients, supply of the antibodies, as well as the formation of the new collagen fibers which will form the cicatrix. This is called as cicatrization. Okay, so this is how it looks in the cross section. That is, the cicatrix material is trying to fill the gap. Finally, the cornea is healed with the cicatrix. This cicatrix may be transparent or it may be still opaque, but it is not in continuity or in phase with the epithelium. Will end up in forming the facet. Okay, which is very well appreciated with your corneal reflex test. So this will severely hamper the vision. Now if you want to stage this corneal ulcer, this stage where there is epithelial defect followed by neutrophil and the lymphocyte infiltration and formation of the sequestrum, is the stage of progressive infiltration. And once the sequestrum is shed into the conjunctival sac, there is formation of the corneal ulcer. This stage is called as stage of active ulceration. And once the vascularization begins, that enters into the stage of regression. Okay, and once the cicatrization of the cicatrix material is laid down, that is the stage of cicatrization. Okay, so at the end of this video, hope you understood the stages of the corneal ulcer in depth, how the corneal ulcer progresses. Okay, so if you find my video useful to you, please do subscribe to my channel. Press the bell icon for further notifications. Please do like and share my videos. You can always leave your valuable comments in the comment section. Thank you so much.